When it comes to attraction, there is a truth that most men never realize, and most women will never openly admit. Attraction is not really about the words you say, the gifts you give, or even the effort you put in. It's about the way your presence makes her feel. A woman may not even admit this to herself, because it's not something logical or easy to explain. You can be the nicest man in the room, you can treat her better than anyone else, and yet, if that spark of feeling isn't there, she won't be drawn to you in the same way. This is where many men get confused because they try to win attraction through logic and effort, when in reality, it lives in emotions, mystery, and presence. That's the hidden truth women rarely say out loud, but it shapes everything about how they respond to you. Almost every man has experienced the same confusing cycle when it comes to women. You show interest, you try to be kind, you put in effort, and for a while things seem to go well. She laughs at your jokes, she replies to your messages, and you start to believe she likes you too. But then suddenly her behavior changes. She becomes distant, takes longer to respond, or gives you mixed signals that leave you wondering what went wrong. You replay everything in your head, trying to figure out if you said something wrong or made a mistake. This is the part that feels the most frustrating, because on the surface you did nothing wrong at all. The real issue is not that you failed, it's that attraction does not always follow logic. It doesn't respond to how nice or available you are. It responds to deeper, less obvious triggers that most men aren't taught to recognize. That is why so many men end up feeling rejected, confused, and powerless in situations where they thought they were doing everything right. The first thing to understand is that attraction is often created by a sense of tension rather than constant comfort. Many women might say they want a man who is always kind, always available, and always giving. But in reality, what sparks attraction is not endless comfort, but a sense of mystery and uncertainty. When she doesn't know if she fully has your attention or commitment, her emotions become engaged, and that emotional pull is what creates attraction. On the other hand, when a man gives too much too quickly, when he overinvests and makes himself fully predictable, the spark often fades. This isn't because she doesn't appreciate kindness, but because attraction needs a balance of closeness and distance to stay alive. It's not something she will admit directly, but it is something she deeply feels. The second truth is that women are more drawn to strength than to words. A man can say all the right things, but if his actions and presence do not reflect confidence, the words lose their meaning. Women naturally test a man's strength, sometimes without even realizing it. This can happen when she becomes distant, when she challenges you, or when she withholds attention. These moments are not always about rejection, but about seeing whether you can remain steady or whether you will collapse under pressure. A man who stays calm and composed, who does not beg or chase when things become uncertain, shows a kind of strength that cannot be faked. And that strength builds both respect and attraction. The third point is that self-respect lies at the core of attraction. A woman may be drawn to your looks, your charm, or your attention for a while, but what truly keeps her interested is the way you value yourself. When a man puts a woman above his own purpose, when he seeks her approval more than his own, she may enjoy the attention at first, but eventually loses respect. Respect and attraction go hand in hand, and when respect is lost, attraction slowly fades with it. But when a man chooses to live by his own principles, when he makes decisions from clarity and not from fear, his presence becomes magnetic. A woman can sense it without him having to say a word. Finally, there is the truth about emotional stability. Women often experience many emotions, ups and downs, and even moments of inner chaos. In these moments, what pulls them toward a man is not someone who matches their chaos, but someone who can remain steady in the middle of it. A man who does not get easily shaken, who does not let his emotions rise and fall with hers, becomes a source of security and trust. She may never say this openly, because it sounds unfair to admit that she looks for a man to be her anchor, but deep down she feels safest with the man who can remain calm in the storm. That calmness becomes more attractive than any words or gestures ever could. Now the real question is, what should a man actually do with this knowledge? Understanding attraction is one thing, but living it is another. The answer is simple in principle, yet difficult in practice because it requires discipline and self-control. When a woman pulls away, your first instinct might be to chase her, to send more messages, or to do something extra to win her attention back. But this usually has the opposite effect. Instead, the wiser response is to remain calm and not chase. By holding your ground, you silently show that your value does not depend on her immediate attention. When she tests you, whether by questioning your actions, creating distance, or showing mixed signals, it's important not to break under pressure. This does not mean being cold or cruel. It means being steady and not overreacting. A stoic man does not explain his worth through endless words, nor does he beg for reassurance. Instead, he lets his character, his actions, and his consistency speak for him. This is how real strength is recognized, not in desperate effort, but in calm presence. If she doubts you, don't fall into the trap of trying to convince her with explanations or promises. Simply continue living in alignment with your values. A woman will naturally respect a man who does not compromise his path for approval. She may or may not choose to follow, but that choice should be hers, not something you force or chase. By focusing on your own growth, your goals, and your peace of mind, you create a kind of gravity that pulls people toward you without effort. Live with self-respect. Don't overreact to her emotions, and let your life speak louder than your words. Attraction is not about tricks or games. It's about being centered, calm, and true to yourself. And when you live this way, women naturally feel safer and more drawn to your presence, even if they cannot fully explain why. In the end, the one thing women won't admit about attraction is that it has little to do with words, gifts, or effort, and everything to do with the strength you carry within yourself. She may never say it out loud, but what truly draws her in is your self-respect, your calm presence, and your ability to stay steady no matter how unpredictable her emotions may be. Attraction lives in the quiet confidence of a man who doesn't chase, doesn't beg, and doesn't compromise his path. When you hold your ground with dignity, she feels something she cannot explain. Respect, safety, and desire. That is the hidden truth about attraction, and it is the test every man must learn to pass.